Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Mock Doctoral Conference. Today is June 3rd, 2026, and we're gathered here for our doctoral students to see their presentations on their research, whatever research stage they are in. So some students have finished data collection, some are at the very early stages of their research, and we're here to support and see how they do in their presentations. So we will go in order and I will say everybody's name. And if somebody's not here, then we're going to move them towards the end and maybe somebody just couldn't join. So we will see that as we go. But our first one is Mr. Richard Terza. Yes, Richard, I think you can start and we're looking forward to your presentation.
Okay. Let me sit there and make sure I got the clock set here correctly. Okay. Hi, everyone. As you can see, I'm very good with crayons. Those of you who are worried about your presentation, you can see that you have absolutely nothing to worry about. I am going first here, and all of you following me can only go up from here. Now that I have everyone's attention, hello, my name is Rich Terza, and I'd like to welcome and thank all of my fellow students, EIU faculty, and others who are here today to listen to what my proposed currently in process study is and the progress I have made so far. This will hopefully not fall into the category of a death by PowerPoint experience. The title of my study is Methodology and Use of Standard IQ Testing to Identify Intellectual Disability or ID at Reception to a Prison Setting and Analysis. So what does that long title mean, and why did I choose to study this for my doctorate? With the ongoing move beginning over at least 35 or so years ago in the United States of closing state mental health hospitals, with views on moving such services to a more community-based milieu, there strongly appears to be an apparent trend of correctional facilities becoming the quote-unquote default mental health hospitals. This has therefore necessitated a proper screening of those entering prison settings regarding mental health and special needs for proper classification and placement in the prison population. Many prisons around the world now have some kind of system in place to capture identification of intellectually disabled or deficient persons, but I would suspect that there is no uniform or best way. Having worked in two state detention systems in the northeastern part of the United States for 30 years, both at the youth and adult levels, there appears to me that there is certainly similarity in how intake occurs in the different systems, but not uniform in testing environments. After many years of work in the system, I am sure I am not alone in wondering, is what I'm doing making a difference? What are the actual statistics that I might calculate on the vast amount of reporting and testing I have done, even if a snapshot at all? What are the best practices that could be followed? Are the same tests studied in the past, for example, the beta and the WACE, viable for the correctional systems of today? The accurate identification of intellectual disability, or ID, among individuals entering correctional facilities is a critical legal, clinical, and ethical imperative. Yet the effectiveness of the intake screening protocols designed to accomplish this identification has received limited empirical scrutiny in United States correctional settings. This action research case study evaluated the efficacy of the two-stage language-dependent IQ screening and ID identification protocol currently in place at a male state correctional reception center located in the northeastern United States. Between March 2022 and February 2024, 175 adult male incarcerated individuals who scored at or below 70 on the Beta 4 IQ screening test at reception were referred for further psychological evaluation administered individually by myself, a master's level psychologist embedded within the facility. English-speaking participants received the Coffin Brief Intelligence Test, second edition, also known as the KBIT-2, followed, for those scoring at or below 70 on the KBIT-2, by the Wechsler Adult Intelligence Scale, fourth edition, full-scale IQ, or the WACE 4 FSIQ. Non-English speaking participants received both the Test of Nonverbal Intelligence, fourth edition, or simply the TONY 4, and the Wechsler Adult Intelligence Scale, fourth edition, Perceptual Reasoning Index, or the WACE 4 PRI, with the TONY 4 serving as the primary and determinative score per established clinical protocol. Intellectual disability was operationally defined as a score at or below 70 on the relevant follow-up instrument, consistent with the intellectual functioning criterion of the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, 5th edition, or simply known as the DSM-5. Now, due to time at this point, I will not be able to get into the specific finer areas of my research, such as literature review, methodology, data points collected, and the like. I did make those slides up, but realized this presentation would have been gone way too long. I will have to skip ahead so I can leave you all with a small taste of some of the possible findings and highlights of my study. So within the study, the mean age of the sample was about 34.64 years, and ages ranged from 18 to 16. The language distribution of the sample is presented in this slide. English-speaking individuals constituted approximately 77.71% of the sample, or 136 overall, with non-English speakers comprising of Spanish, Russian, French, and Mandarin Chinese speakers, constituting approximately 22.29%, or 39 overall. The mental health stability level, MHSL, distribution is presented in this slide. The total sample of those considered to be followed by mental health staff, MHSL 0 through 4, was 119. This is 68% of the total sample. There is no MHSL level 5 in the system. The majority of participants, 53 of them, or 30.3%, fell into the mental health stability level 1 category, meaning they were on new psychiatric medications for less than or equal to 6 months, with smaller proportions between the more acute levels, MHS levels 0, seriously mentally ill, and level 2, considered newly stable on meds for less than 6 months. And the less acute stability level of 4, those not on psychotropic medications, but still followed by mental health staff. It is interesting to note that none of those categorized as seriously mentally ill scored below 70 on the second stage of testing. The diagnostic outcome by language group is displayed in this slide, with 100% non-English speakers not classified as ID, 96.3% of English speakers not classified as ID, and 3.7% of English speakers classified as ID. The primary most striking finding so far in the study is that it appears that 97.14% of participants, that's 170 out of 175, who scored at or below 70 on the beta 4, subsequently scored above 70 on the respective follow-up assessments, and were therefore not identified as meeting the IQ criterion for ID. Only 5 participants, 2.86% of the whole sample, met the IQ criterion for ID on follow-up testing. None of the 39 non-English speakers scored below 70 on second stage testing, and 5 English speakers scored below 70 on second stage testing. This seems to bolster the efficacy of the two-stage IQ testing system, as other studies have found. I will have to save discussing the inferential statistics and the scatter plots and the bar plots for another time. I have no idea how I'm going to be able to fit all of this into 10 slides for my hopefully but very anxiously anticipated defense. I hope you all enjoyed this presentation and learned a little something about my study. Now, in keeping with our university being based in France, I will say la fin and merci beaucoup to you all. The end. Thank you very much. And I have to show the last slide of my references in the study so that I cover everything academically. I'm sorry that the print is so small, but I had to fit it all in and make sure it's all there. Thank you again for your time. I now welcome a few minutes of any questions or comments, and please be gentle.
Thank you, Rich. Thank you very much for that. As Rich just said, we can have a few minutes for any questions from anybody for Rich. Any comments?
I don't know about the rest, but for me, from a construction point of view, it sounds complicated. Sounds too medical.
Okay.
But I understood you relating the IQ testing with the intellectual ID issue.
Yes. There's
Identifying
actually
it.
3 criterion that they have to have, and that's why I specified from the DSM-4. IQ testing is one part of that.
And you have some previous data as well.
Yes, there's other data that I could have tested, but I only took the stuff that I actually did myself. There's another psychologist that was there that I was helping cover, It's not my primary job. I was kind of helping out, but the thing that I had in there, I see that Dr. Roy is asking the primary motivation. I had gone over that, Dr. Roy. It's something that within all the years that I've done of work, it motivated me. I've done all this work over about 30 years now in the criminal justice system, both at the youth and adult levels. And I always wondered, is what I'm doing making a difference? There's statistics. I've done, at this point in my life, thousands of reports. And, I've collected a lot of data, had a lot of test scores. So I wanted to see the trends and actually put it to what I was doing and make sense of it all. And then, the flip side of it is, one of the things that I had was we were doing a test with the non-English speakers that we were having to give them the extra PRI. Well, the PRI is not exactly a nonverbal test. The Tony 4 is. You can give that by just pointing to pictures and they understand what's going on and then they can to do it, those who don't speak English. The WASE 4 PRI, it measures nonverbal abilities, but it is not, the whole WASE 4, I had that in my references. You have to have some level of knowledge of English to do it. So I was trying to also compare, which hopefully I can get to some other time, that, there's no real need to do the WASE 4 PRI. The Tony 4 suffices after the second stage of Beta 4. So these are the things that motivated my study.
Okay,
Hopefully
thank you,
it answers
Rich.
those.
Anybody else? Any questions? So I just have a comment. I really like the bar graphs. So that's always a nice way to show visuals. So for everybody
Yes.
here, always, if you have graphs, visuals, figures, tables, that's always a nice thing to include in your presentations, including your final defenses.
Mhm.
Okay, if nobody has any further questions for Rich, then let's move on to Miss Sama. You're our second presenter today, so I'll let you have it from here.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll share the screen. Can you see it? Can you guys see it?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So, hello everyone.
Miss Ma, it's not on presenter view. Can you expand it?
Yeah, okay.
On the bottom, yeah, that little.
Okay. You can see it now?
Yes, perfect.
Yeah. Okay, hello everybody. First of all, just a small brief about myself. My name is Samah. I think also, I'm a DBA candidate at EIU, same as your good selves. First, also, I would like to thank Dr. Paula for always being there and supporting me and others, I think, as well. During offering this mock-up presentation for all of us, it's a very good chance that we practice. Yesterday, we had a presentation as well where I actually missed the mock-up. I just did the presentation as it was my mock-up. And I was too nervous for it was my first participation in a conference. So I really, really appreciate this opportunity to have in front of our colleagues. I'm also a civil engineer. Okay, I hold master's degree in project management from Manchester, Dubai campus. I have been working in construction field for 14 years now. Which brings me to my research interest. It's about keeping and influencing more women to stay in the field, to retain them in our field. Okay, so my study is about how managerial practices and the organizational culture influence the retention of women in this industry. As we all know, construction industry is male-dominated, is traditionally known as that. Okay, and recently, even though more women have been joining and studying engineering, graduating, starting even in the field, I'm talking about the Middle East area, specifically UAE and Gulf area. We don't see them much staying for long periods or long, let's say, years of career in the construction contracting firms specifically. So there is many challenges. My study is to try to elevate this disappointment, but it also part of my curiosity just to find out what can be done to retain them. What can we do to advise maybe the managers or influence the organizational cultures or leadership of, let's say, step or an advice to, if they are interested, to retain women in their position. The challenge is that these organizational factors influencing this issue are not fully understood, especially in the UAE context. Okay, even though they have qualifications, they leave. The factors are not clear. There is limited research about that in UAE. Maybe there is some research out there about women in construction in general and the challenges they might face. But there isn't, I'm not saying at all, but there is very limited research about women in construction field in the Middle East, specifically in UAE. So it brings me to my research question. How do managerial practices and organizational culture influence retention of women in the construction firms? My research focuses on these 4 aspects: leadership, communication, fairness, and inclusion and support. The example of leadership behaviors, it refers to how managers interact with employees. Are they supportive? Are they approachable? Are they open to discussion? Communication practices, they include how clear the information is shared. Is it clear what are the expectations and tasks allocated to these women? Fairness in task allocation. It relates to whether the work is distributed equally or some employees are given opportunities over the others. Inclusion and psychological safety. It refers to whether employees feel comfortable speaking up or sharing ideas, raising concerns, not having fear of discussion. Finally, also the managerial support is very important. I don't see it here, okay? Managerial support, like guidance and mentoring of their managers or supervisors when they have challenges during the projects or the pressure, especially in our industry. Projects are always under deadlines, always having challenges. There is a pressure of clients, a pressure from authorities, a pressure from deadlines. Methodology of my research, it adapts qualitative approach. I'm using semi-structured interviews. My IRB application has been approved. I'm clear to start my interviews and interacting with people, which is actually my biggest excitement for my DBA study. It's going to start hopefully next week. Participants include women professionals, as well as their managers and HR representatives, whether it's men or women. Participants I have selected has to be at least working for 2 years in the sector. They can also be women who exited the sector, but they already have the experience. Participant age group is between 25 years and above. I'm looking at conducting 10 to 25 interviews divided into 10 to 15 female professionals and 5 to 10 of the managers or HR directors who are influencing and impacting these women. The data will be analyzed using thematic analysis. It means that I will, whenever the interviews are done, I will listen to them, transcript them, try to categorize them into themes. based on their responses, and I will identify later the repeated patterns across participants. For example, if an example would be given, if they mention, for example, lack of support or let's say unclear communication, I would group them into a common theme that helps explain their experiences. So what would my research contribute? My aim is to better understand the retention challenges and provide, as we said, practical recommendation for interested companies to be able to create more supportive work environment for female professionals, to retain them for longer periods and let them maybe expand more and more into this challenging career. At the end, my research is still in progress. Data collection is going to start hopefully next week. It has been delayed due to the current situation in the area and the closure of airports, but hopefully everything is okay now and we're going to start next week. The goal is to contribute to really a real-world improvement in the UAE and maybe also in the Gulf areas, because it's almost the same culture in the construction field itself. Hopefully to see more women excel in it. Thank you very much. I hope this was a short, not boring presentation, and looking forward to answering any question you have.
Thank you, Ms. Sama. Thank you for the presentation. Okay, anybody from the audience, any fellow students, anybody have a question for Ms. Sama? I think she has a very interesting topic, so I'm her supervisor and I'm really excited for her interviews. She's made me excited for the interviews because I see how much she wants to do them.
I had difficulty finding them, by the way. I found some. Hopefully I'll have some snowball effect when I go there.
Yes, so she had some difficulties with people who didn't want to interview, I guess, at the workplace, right? And then you asked them, I encourage you to ask outside. Yeah.
I had to make it sound informal, and it is actually, it's up to them if they want to participate or not. But it was challenging, really, getting some of them to accept.
Yeah. Okay, anybody, any questions for Ms. Imam? Okay, Dr. Roy wrote in the chat, so aside from construction field, what other fields do you think women participation needs improvement?
From my experience, I actually experienced only construction contracting because I know it's challenging and it's really well known to be a male-dominated sector. I cannot think of another sector that is more male-dominated than construction, to be honest.
Okay, and he also asked, perhaps you came across something data-driven when you were doing literature review. Politics.
Politics. No, but I'd be happy to check that if you can send it to me. If you have seen anything like that, yeah, it would be interesting.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, I guess everyone's nervous about their own presentation. Okay, then
you can always email me. You can always send me anything in the WhatsApp. You have my phone number, any questions, anything. Even if you know people who are interested in my research, I'll be glad to discuss with you or them.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Sama.
Thank
Okay,
you.
then we're going to move on to our third presenter, Mr. Reiner. You want to try sharing your screen? Oh, perfect. Okay, then I'll let you take it away.
You are on mute, Mr. Reiner.
Yeah, Mr. Reiner, you're mute and you are showing the end of your slideshow. Now we see the Zoom meeting.
I think that doesn't work. I try to share and then speak, but it doesn't work. So I speak first. Rainer Braun, DBA student since last year. I have a master's in leadership science, and my study is about digital transformation, and it is related to strategic learning. So the point is that companies often just introduce technology, but miss to train people ahead of time. And that's a big challenge. And based on my literature review, this problem exists since 1951. And I've chosen to present a poster, not a presentation. And people ask me to have my recording to it. So this is what I just play. And afterwards, you can ask questions. And the recording has plus and minuses. Yesterday, I was supposed to present at a AI conference in Amsterdam. The timing was messed up. I wasn't there as my presentation was played by Dr. Paula. So thank God I have recorded it. So it has plus and minuses. And now I try again to share and just watch and listen.
One good day, everyone. Please imagine this. A company installs a brand new computer system. Everyone gets training. The software works. The start page looks beautiful. For 1 week, people are very excited. Then something interesting happens. Employees slowly go back to old habits. Excel sheets return. Workarounds appear. Emails replace workflows again. And after some months, nothing really changed. If this sounds familiar, you are not alone. This happens in organizations all over the world. This is exactly what my doctoral research is about. My name is Rainer Braun, and my study examines why digital transformation often looks successful on the surface, but still fails in everyday practice. Now, here is the important part. The problem is usually not the technology itself. Technology works, systems run, data flows, AI becomes faster every year. But organizations still struggle to change how people actually work every day. That is the real challenge. So, my study focuses on something called Digital Business Process Adoption, or DBPA. That simply means, do new digital processes become part of normal daily work? Do people truly use them over time, or do they quietly return to old routines? If the answer is no, then transformation may look successful, but in reality, it is incomplete. Now, during my literature review, one image kept appearing again and again in my mind, the image of an iceberg, and this became what I call the Titanic heuristic metaphor. Above the water, we see the visible side, technology, implementation, task execution, project delivery. That is the part organizations love to show. But below the waterline, we find the hidden side, leadership, learning, governance rigidity, defensive routines, and resistance to reflection. And according to the literature, the hidden part is often what sinks transformation efforts. So the central idea of my research is very simple. Digital transformation problems are usually not only technology problems. They are leadership and learning problems hidden underneath the surface. From this idea, my study asks two main research questions. First, why do learning-oriented leadership approaches repeatedly fail to translate into sustained digital business process adoption? And second, how do governance rigidity and learning inhibition interact during digital transformation? In simple words, why do organizations already know many good leadership ideas, but still struggle to apply them in practice? Now, here comes an important clarification. This study is qualitative. That means I am not using surveys, statistics, or performance measurements. I am not trying to prove mathematical cause and effect relationships. Instead, I examine how the literature describes recurring patterns over many decades. The study analyzes published literature from leadership, governance, organizational learning, and socio-technical systems research. The methodology is called qualitative framework analysis and thematic synthesis. That sounds complicated, but the process itself is actually very logical. First, Important texts are read carefully. Then passages are coded line by line after that. Similar ideas are grouped into themes, for example, governance rigidity, learning inhibition, leadership enactment, or process challenges. Then the study explores how these themes connect with each other, step by step. Larger patterns begin to emerge. So the study moves from small observations to bigger explanations, not by guessing, but by following what the literature repeatedly describes. And one recurring pattern appears again and again. Organizations often focus heavily on technology implementation, while learning and process adaptation receive less attention. People are expected to change quickly, but systems around them often remain rigid. There may be little time to reflect, little flexibility, and little opportunity for double loop learning. And over time, employees begin creating shortcuts and workarounds, not because they are lazy, but because the organization never fully adapted around the new technology. And this is very important. My study does not blame people, it examines systems. The literature repeatedly suggests that transformation difficulties are often created by organizational conditions, not by individual failure. So, what is the goal of this research? The goal is not to create another giant management framework, honestly. Organizations already have enough frameworks. The goal is different. The goal is to explain why existing leadership and governance approaches are often difficult to enact in real organizational life. And if successful, the study may contribute something practical, a diagnostic orientation for leaders, in other words, simple ways to recognize early warning signs before transformation efforts quietly fail, for example. Are people truly learning, or only coping? Are new processes becoming routine, or are workarounds already growing? Are leaders encouraging reflection, or only demanding compliance? These are simple questions, but according to the literature, they may reveal deeper organizational problems long before failure becomes visible. And finally, what does this mean for the future? Technology will continue to improve. AI will become stronger, faster, and smarter. That part is almost guaranteed. But the real challenge may not be technological anymore. The real challenge is human and organizational. Can organizations learn fast enough? Can leadership create the right conditions for adaptation? Can new digital processes truly become part of everyday work? Because if not, even the best technology may still fail to create lasting transformation. And that is the central message of my doctoral research. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Rainer, for your presentation.
Welcome.
Okay. Anybody, any questions? I see that, Rainer, you can see the chat. Dr. Roy sent some article.
I'm not sure if you already came across this during literary review. Coaching of teaching educational leadership. I cannot remember this particular reference, Dr. Roy, but I have many others from 1951 through to 2025. So of course we didn't have AI back then, but it was identified that regarding digital transformation, the same problem existed. Back then, it was tried to implement new technology, but processes and people fall behind. And then later on, it was talked about training, and then we find literature about leadership challenges. But those scientific research projects, what I think and I found so far, worked in silos, but no one connected the dots. That means leadership science and technology science. So, and I try to connect those findings from over the last 75 years. But this particular one that you showed, I can look into it as well from 1982. I hope that answers the question. Thank you.
Any other questions for Rainer?
Good job, Rainer. Good job.
Don't know. Yeah. So, but I have seen other posters from you, and they were well structured, better than mine. I think I should do better so that my talking really goes through the slides, and my talking just spots on this area of my poster, and then it goes down and it goes back up. So I think I need to do that better next time.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I think that oral presentation and poster presentation, they are very different. So people often think the poster is easier because you just have the poster and you just talk about it. But that's not always true. So sometimes it's easier to maintain your ideas per slide as you do an oral presentation. So I think you should try both at some point. And there's another question for you in the chat, Rainer.
So yeah, that's a very good question. I work in a large organization, let's say 20,000 people. And because this is my experience, and I went through this digital transformation challenge myself, I was the coordinator to bring our organization into the cloud over 2 years. And I suffered exactly those points that many organizations suffer. So I wanted to talk about large organizations, and I researched first what is a small, large, and mega organization, blah, blah, blah. But then during my literature review, I figured that it doesn't matter. And I also found that it's the same for industry or nonprofit organizations. I even found that all the digital transformation efforts result in less than one. So if the effort that's put into is 100%, then the result after digital transformation can be less than 50% outcome. So either it's less production at the end or less service level of a non-profit organization. So, and then I just talked about organizations because it just didn't matter. This problem exists everywhere from what I read so far. Then the other question. Yeah, that's a good point. I would love to see how that change acceleration process worked. I haven't heard about this, but my organization tries to accelerate digital transformation, especially regarding AI. But the same happens. People are just not ready. And then my organization implements digital tools, digital applications, AI. And then we figure that people suffer and struggle over weeks and months. And then as a post reaction, we try to train people. And we build tiger teams to figure out what do we need to train. And it takes months and years to bring people up to speed with what we have implemented today. But then we're 6 months, 8 months ahead. Technology has changed again. And this is a vicious circle. So what I think the result of my study could be is that leadership, if you intend to implement digital tools, I mean, you know that 6 months before because you hire companies, you need implementation teams, and you know this specific tool or application will arrive in 6 or 8 months' time. We need to start today to bring people up to speed that when the technology arrives, that they are ready to use it. And I would love to see this change acceleration process. Sefa, if you have maybe a link that you can share, I would like to look into it. Thank you for that question. I hope it makes sense what I'm saying.
Sure, I can share that with you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Rainer, very much for your presentation. Again, as I can see also from the comments, very timely topic. So I think your study is right on point. Okay, let's move to our next presenter, Mr. Basnet. You can take it away.
Thank you. Let me upload the slide. Oops. Can you see that?
Yes, I can see the PowerPoint.
Just a minute. Okay, thank you so much for this great opportunity. I really like the way that EIU is making us to present. That's
Mr.
not only
Basnet,
for the,
one thing,
sorry.
it's not full screen.
Okay,
Just start the slideshow.
okay. Can I see? Can you see now?
It's still just the PowerPoint. Maybe you shared your screen instead of the PowerPoint.
Okay.
So when you click on share, you can click specifically on the PowerPoint.
Still not setting.
Oh, now it's good. Perfect.
Okay, good. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. I'm in Nepal, so it's a good evening from my side. I'm a Yuvraj Basnet, and I'm a DBA student under the supervision of Professor Edward Roy Krishnan. It's a great opportunity for the students, like already said. This type of conference really excels the soft knowledge of researchers like us. Today, I'm presenting the insight how cash transfer component of Nepal's Employment Guarantee Scheme, namely Prime Minister Employment Program of PMAP, affects the household vulnerability. Based on the literature review and field observations, I will focus on the major findings and what they mean for Employment Guarantee Scheme. Okay, employment guarantee is not a new phenomenon. It started in early 18th century from the United Kingdom. It is then expanded globally, including in Nepal. In 2019 or 18, we started the employment guarantee scheme in Nepal. But the global evidence shows that the employment guarantee reduces the vulnerability through three pathways. One is economically. They provide liquidity during lean seasons, reduce sensitivity to shocks, and lower reliance on high interest borrowing. In India, they even raise the rural wages and reduce distress migrations. And we have some evidence in Nepal that it has really helped the distress migrations from the villages. The second part is socially and psychologically supportive. That means there's a predictable earning income enhances dignity, reduces anxiety, and strengthens women's bargaining power. Sometimes unconditional cash transfers really achieves. Third one is that the community level, there is a good impact in the community level. Normally, this employment guarantee schemes works with the public works program. This creates the assets and stabilize the rural market, labor markets. And overall, employment guarantee works best when they are combined together with income protection, predictability, and earned social value. In Nepal, the labor market is characterized by a different high informality, youth unemployment, and chronic vulnerability. If you see the statistics here, you can see up to 71%, up to it's like 61% of people are under poverty. 62% of the workers are informal, and over 0.5 million youth enters labor market every year. Poverty ranges from 77%. And there's a huge differences between rural poverties and sometimes in urban poverty. Some urban poverty is under just 2%. That's a huge differences. The foreign employment has been a dominant coping mechanism in Nepal. If you see that in every year, approximately 800,000 people go abroad for foreign employment. In that time, I was actually the original designer of this Prime Minister Employment Program who guarantees 100 days of employment. But in practice, the average worker receives only 50 days of work. This is only because 1 in 5 registered unemployed actually participated. This gap between design and delivery is central to understand how EGS impacts in Nepal. On a conceptual lens, if you see how vulnerability is, My analysis uses vulnerability framework grounded in Devereux and Savates Wheeler and Amartya Sen's theories. Vulnerability is shaped by three major components: is exposure to shocks and sensitivity to those who get shocks. Third one is the adaptive capacity. And the PMEP's Casper work component touches all these three. It provides liquidity, restores social standings, and offers predictability. But these benefits depends heavily on the implementations, especially timely, advocacy, and targeting mechanism. These are the things that the PMEP has not really focused. On economic effect, I'm going to present some of the findings because I have done number of evaluations of these programs, and I actually have got a good, I've done number of papers. Some are published, some are not published. So economically, this PMEP provides some stability, not the long-term transformations. Although this program was designed as a productive sector program, but this hasn't given a long-term transformations. Household uses mainly for foods, school fees, medicines, and loan repayment. Before PMEP, 82% relied on informal lenders, charging up to 60% of annual interest. That's a huge amount. After PMEP, because there's a increasing, cash flow in the local side, so it dropped to the 54%. It's still very high. However, even with 80 to 100 days of works, if we segment this, the average employment days are low. But if we go up like 80 to 100 days of work, annual income is around 32,000 to 48,000. That's average of 6.5 years. So even though it is enough for 2 or 3 months of consumption, so PMEP helps the families survive, but it does not lift them out of structural poverty. On the social side, this is where PMEP has got the strongest impact. Beneficiary repeatedly emphasized that predictability matters more than the amount. Knowing that the wages will come reduces anxiety and restores the sense of control. Women reported improved bargaining power. But if you see the statistics of the PMEP, it's approximately 60% or more than 60% are female beneficiary. So men describe PMEP, or the people describe PMEP as a respectable and contributing to the community, and distinguishing it from the charity. It's not the charities, it's the work that they get. In short, PMEP provided dignity through work, in which a powerful form of social protection. But again, only when payments are timely and targeting is fair. On the conclusion side, just to summarize that, PMEP Casper Works or EGS Casper Work component smooths consumption, reduces debt, provides a psychological relief, enhances the labor dignity, and stabilizes household shocks. These are meaningful outcomes of the vulnerable household. But there is also limitations. These benefits are fragile. Across municipalities, PMEP faces recurring challenges, delayed payments, which erodes the productive functions of the PMEP or employment guarantee scheme. Too few work days, in the later side, because of the reduced financial support from the government, the work allocation is reduced, limiting income inadequacy. But sometimes there's a huge criticism about the political allocations, reducing fairness. That means, that's the political party at local level actually emphasize the people who actually are from their own party cadres. That also got like a weak project quality. Minimum linkages to skilled or long-term employability has been a problem because, it hasn't been work as a productive sector concept. These are not administrative inconveniences. They directly shape whether family eats that weeks or falls deeper into debts. The future research direction. To strengthen the EGS scheme in Nepal, we need to ensure there's timely, predictable, and cash payments. We need to expand the guaranteed employment days or work days, integrate skill training and livelihood pathways, strengthen ESC capacity to transparency. With those reforms, PMEP can move from being a seasonal buffer to a platform for resilience. And finally, this research actually highlights the need for deeper research. The future research work should examine why municipality differs so sharply in the performance, how political dynamics in ESC staffing shape the outcomes, how workdays rationing and payments delays affect food security and borrowing is again the vulnerability side, and how employment guarantee can be better integrated in Nepal's labor market system. Cross municipality comparative case study would provide a grounded evidence for the researchers like you, a policy influencer like me, to revise the program for the future for the people, and also gather the evidence that is much required for the wider academic. So the overall objectives of the new research would be how the cash transfer component of the employment guarantee affect household vulnerability, not only in one place. It's the cost comparative study between the different municipalities. And with this, I conclude my presentations and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Basnet. That was a very nice presentation. Okay, anybody have questions for Mr. Basnet? That was a very comprehensive presentation in a short time, so thank you for that.
Yeah, I just wanted to say Mr. Bisness, you did an excellent job. I actually understood what you're studying. And, you know, to me, it spoke very much to how you also included not just the business aspect, the money aspect that, you know, that's important for the government there to implement this, but also the social and psychological aspects, you know, trying to raise people out of poverty and then trying to move it forward and then, you know, continuing to research it. Excellent job.
Thank you, Rich.
Okay, anybody else have any questions or comments? I have a feeling Dr. Roy's typing his question, but I'm not sure. Okay. Okay, he's going to talk to you in private, Mr. Bisnet. Okay. I guess you're getting off the hook without questions. Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Then we can move on to our next presentation, which is Mr. Mashudu. Mr. Mashudu, do you want to try sharing your screen?
Let me do that. Where do I get this? Is it under the options or settings?
So below, like you should see right in the middle of your Zoom screen, there should be a share button with a arrow pointing upwards.
Oh, mine hasn't got, you know that.
Okay.
This is I only have participants, chat, react, which is reaction, AI, companion, and more. When I go for more, what is this which I find? I find whiteboards, settings, stop incoming video, reset to default.
Okay, Mr. Mashudu, maybe you can send me the PowerPoint and I'll share it from my side.
Yeah, okay. I can do that. Let me do that.
And then you'll just tell me when I need to switch the slides.
No problem. Let me do that. That's good. Okay. She just sent it to me now.
If anybody else is missing the share button, then you can already send me your presentations as well, and I'll just share it from my side.
Okay.
maybe we can go with other presentations and come back again with Mashudu.
Let's do that. Ms. Asefa, do you want to do your presentation while Mr. Mashudu emails me or sends me his?
Yeah, sure. I can go ahead.
Okay, perfect. Let's
Let me
try
just
sharing
share
your
it.
screen. Yeah. And anybody, if you have problems, like if you don't see the share button, then just send it to me in advance. And then when your time comes, then I'll share it from my side.
Mhm. Okay, it doesn't allow me also to share. It's blocking sharing.
Okay,
It
Asefa,
says
then send it to me as well.
I have sent it to you on
Oh,
WhatsApp earlier if you use
okay,
that.
let me check if that's your final version. Yes, I see it.
Yeah.
I'm going to open it and then I'm going to share it and then you can talk about your poster.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Yep. Let me see. Okay, that should do it. Okay, share. Okay, can everybody see this?
Yep.
Okay,
I can
go ahead,
see
Asefa. Yeah.
this. Is it readable for everyone, or if you can just increase the size a little bit so that it's readable for everyone?
I don't want to cut anything off.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
All right. Hello, everyone. Good morning or good evening, whichever part of the country you are from. My name is Asifa Vijay Kumar, and I'm a psychology doctorate student with EIU. I also come with an experience in the counseling area, as well as almost about 25 years in the industry. So I picked up this topic on the gap or AI human agency gap. Just want to ask everyone, maybe you can put a thumbs up for everyone who's using AI, because it's today the buzzword, right? So just give me a thumbs up if all of you are using it. Is there anyone not using AI today? Okay, I see almost everyone giving a thumbs up. Yes. So this is a buzzword, and at work, I think everyone, like even Rhino said, companies are transforming and adding AI technology into their systems. One of the things that I noticed is that there is a huge gap between the way we process information as human agency and the way AI does. And while we see speed as the core area where it saves you time to do anything, you give it a prompt and it works wonders. What I realized was that there is a psychological debt getting accumulated. When I say a psychological debt, what I mean is that we're missing all the messy middle part, right? Like when I would sit and write an article, I would think structure, right? And only then put it down. But now I give it a prompt saying write an article, and it'll give me one in a couple of seconds, right? It's the same with presentations or anything. So what I tried to do is, while I was doing my literature review, I knew that there is going to be a gap, and the gap is increasing as more and more number of people are using. Literature review clearly gave me insights in all the 5 psychological domains, which I'm referring to as the cognitive, emotional, behavioral, social, and moral ethical areas. So there is a gap seen in each of these individual areas. However, I started stepping back and thinking, okay, if I am able to prove that that there is going to be a gap eventually, all right, how does that help the world? So, which is where I eventually shifted to my research topic of developing and validating an AI-induced psychology debt accumulation scale. AIPDA is what I call it. Basically, the objective of this scale would be to ensure that we are in a position to measure whether you are using AI just as an augmented tool, or are you reaching a point of skill atrophy, or are you actually just eroding your basic skills? And I think this is not new, it's been there. I do remember as a child, I would remember a lot of people's telephone numbers. Today, I don't remember even my husband's telephone number sometimes because it's stored in the phone, which means the dependency on systems or technology is very high. So that's where my research topic narrowed down. A lot of the literature already is talking about the gap. So I'm consolidating all the 5 domains because nobody has done any research taking all the 5 domains. Dr. Paula, could you just expand on the table that I have given over there? I just wanted everyone to see and realize what I'm talking about. Yeah. So I kind of made a simple table out of it, which said that, while you give a prompt and AI processes and you feel very good about it, you, from a cognitive perspective, you're bypassing all your German load clearly. And therefore, over a period of time, your schemas are not forming. But at the other level, on an emotional level, also there is a gap. Because when AI does something, you don't really feel accomplished. That mastery glow that we used to feel good about, that I know this, I'm missing out completely. At the behavioral level, I have termed this, I rather coined this term saying you do it syndrome. The idea is that, you just offload it to AI and say, you do it. But then that is getting into a habitual way, which we are seeing very common in most, workforces now. Social interest. Okay. This is another area where AI does not judge you. AI doesn't tell you you did it wrong. So a lot of people are avoiding managerial discussions or feedback, rather asking AI because it's easier, right? And obviously moral interest, where largely, there are people feeling guilty after having done it through AI. So keeping this in mind, and this was conversations around a lot of workforce that I work with or train, and therefore my project culminated into creating this AI PDA scale. The objective, as I said, is clearly to ensure that at the scale is able to measure at what level is your psychological debt at, and therefore be able to do a remedial before you reach a complete skill erosion. And Dr. Paula, could you just scroll down? So I will move to how am I doing this? Since this is going to be a psychometric assessment, which I'm building from scratch, since I don't have, too much data or scales that I can bank on. Right, so I'm using the DeVellis model to construct a complete, scale. So one is to determine what do I want to define as the latent nature of psychological debt in all the 5 domains. I'm looking currently at a larger pool of 75 items, 15 per domain, which obviously will get funneled down to as we go, through the expert panel and the EFA, CFA, etc. Right. I'm yet to decide. I'm still in that stage since this is in progress. My first choice was a 7-point Likert scale. But then I also figured out that there is a semantic differential scale. The reason why I'm debating still between the two is that not everybody is able to honestly, pinpoint and say, yes, they're feeling guilty on a moral question, or that they're not able to, think through on their own. And to avoid those kind of things, I said if both questions are contradicting or rather opposites, but simple for people to choose, we might be in a position to get a better scale. So I'm still in the debate, in the conversational point over there. Of course, after the questionnaire is ready, then we would get into an expert panel. I'm choosing a set of people who come from the education, psychology, IT technology background, and some industry folks, so that we get an all-round expert panel view. And then we will also be doing some cognitive interview scripts, which is more like a think aloud interview to check if the language validation, terminology, etc. fits before I roll out the entire scale. The last step, obviously, is that there are few scales for some of the domains which I probably will be comparing and seeing if they fit in exactly. So that's the research methodology and the steps that I'm going to be taking up. Like I said, it's work in progress. From a sampling and data collection strategy perspective, I'm using a stratified purposive sample strategy. I'm going to be looking at about roughly 500 to 600 sample size. Hopefully, I should be able to collect that from my, corporate network. What I'm including is anyone who's used 3 or more years of AI, 3 or more months of AI consistently. So that will be my inclusion point. We've taken a huge range of 18 to 55, which means almost the entire workforce, the younger workforce plus the experienced established experts. Primarily, that I have a hypothesis that might give us some difference in the way the newer generations using versus the others. I'm also trying to study this across the globe, so multiple countries. That way we get a balanced approach, whether there is a difference in any. And obviously, from a language, while this is a limitation, right now it's an English. So that's where I am at this point of stage. I'm a little delayed, because of my work area, but at least we've got to this stage now. My next step is to get the questionnaire ready and then start rolling it out. So that's all from my side. Anything that anyone has questions on, I'll be happy to address.
I see some questions in the chat coming in, so maybe you can look at that and yeah.
Yeah. So there was a question. Thank you for the presentation, but I have a question regarding the model of psychological community. Do you think metacognitive awareness that can act as a protective factor against accumulation? Yes, we would be looking at metacognition also. Yes, that's one of the points that we might be covering. And that's where I think right now I'm looking at the questionnaire in such a way that we cover all these elements within each of these domains. If so, how might it does, for example, fosters with planning monitoring? I am not considering the student population at this point of time for the ease of getting that data from schools, because I don't think, at least not in India, many schools are allowing AI. So I've kept the education outside. Some postgraduate institutes we will be evaluating, that is still 18 plus areas. Dr. Roy, you had a question. How does your measurement model distinguish between AI use that replaces human cognition and AI use that enhances cognitive performance? I would like to believe that I'm using AI in the latter sense. The former meaning AI enhances me, not make me dependent on it. Assistant. This impact your sampling. Who is included? Okay. I have to think through this, honestly, Dr. Roy, in terms of how it is, like you rightly said, replacing the cognition versus, augmenting it. But when I'm looking at the AI-PDA scale, I'm looking from augmentation to skill atrophy, and that's what we'll be measuring. So there could be possibility that it is enhancing, my work, which means that I do most of the thinking or cognitive, steps on my own, and then I use AI to help me model it better, or I just offload it and give it to them. Your next question is, consequently, how does this impact your sampling and who is included? Do you need to distinguish between two types of AI users? When you say two types of AI users, are you talking about them defining whether they are using it for augmented this or something like that, Dr. Roy? Dependency. Yes, we would have to, from your next question point, from the psychometric perspective, yes, we will have to demonstrate that AIPDA is empirically distinct and AI dependency or the frequency, etc. So I will be adding a couple of pointers in the questionnaire in terms of their usage, for what they're using, etc. Otherwise, the instrument may end up measuring a mixed this. Yes. Yes, I agree that it would be. That's why I've been taking time, because there are lots of thoughts, too many ideas around it, and I think I will need help from you and Dr. Paula to put the construct properly. Considering that there is no base I can go back to, I barely found anything that could help, which I could take reference from. I think you could confer on PhD instead of PSYD if you are successful in coming up with a valid, reliable psychometric measure and for the fee. Yep, sure. We could discuss that too. The PhD to PSYD, yes, definitely.
Okay, I think Dr. Roy said we may save the questions for now. So I guess he's going to discuss with you. Does anyone
Yes.
else have a question for Asefa? If not, then we're going to move on to Mr. Mashudu. Okay, Mr. Mashudu, are you ready? I am going to share your presentation.
Thank you very much, Dr. Paula.
Yes, and you please tell me when I need to switch the slides.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I will do. Thank you very much, and good afternoon, Dr. Paula, Dr. Roy, and fellow students. And my apology for not being able to present over here on the screen, but here we are now. A little bit of background about this topic. I come from a rural place. I am a chief and I have a number of villages to look after. And right now, as we speak, there is a very high unemployment in the area. So therefore, I then decided that as I do my DBA, I needed to focus there and deal with the real challenge which is on the table. So the topic is redesigning a business model to enhance employment creation at Chivase Agridem in the Vembe district. So I have picked up one a district municipality to say that I will be focusing in that area, and this is where the majority of the people live. So we may move to the next. So I'm going to be talking here. The approach here is about action research methodology, where I am saying that an action research design is employed utilizing a qualitative method within reiterative intervention cycles. So I'm actually moving away from the traditional mixed methods, and this is because of the empowering teaching which Dr. Paula has been doing. So I will be focusing on this, and data sources are not implemented sequentially. and instead they are embedded within cyclical phases of diagnosis: planning, action, observation, and reflection. So I have actually selected this one to facilitate not only the description of employment, but also to begin now to focus on the improvement of the business model strategies within the organizational context. We may go to the next one. Now, here I'm talking about the action research cycles. The study unfolds 4 iterative phases, and that is the first one will be the diagnosis phase, and second, planning and intervention design, and the third is implementation, and the fourth is observation and reflection. And this whole thing, it keeps on, we keep on now moving around and making sure that we improve where we need to improve or correct where we need to correct. Then cycle 1, the diagnosis phase, initial data, they are collected. Okay, you can move to the next slide. Initial data are collected, and to understand current employment creation practices, organizational constraints, and stakeholder perception. Data will be collected through the following tools. And here we are: qualitative questionnaires, semi-structured interviews, focus group discussions, organizational document analysis, reflective practitioner notes. The main objective is to establish a baseline employment patterns, right? Organizational changes and stakeholder perceptions. Then we go to cycle 2, which will be the planning and the intervention design. Findings from the diagnostic phase are collaboratively interpreted with the stakeholders' design, and thereafter an intervention to revise the business model and enhance employment outcomes, because this is the main cry as we speak. This process will involve the following steps. There will be stakeholder workshops to interpret a qualitative survey and interview findings collaboratively. Then 2, there will be co-design of intervention or revised business model strategies. And thirdly, identification of employment strategies. Now, we go to cycle 3 there. That is on the implementation now. On the implementation, I'm saying that the diagnostic phase are collaboratively interpreted with stakeholders' design, intervention, the intervention there to revise the business model and enhance employment outcomes. This process will involve those 3 items. We are going to do the implementation of the redesigned model and the employment strategies, ongoing observation and performance monitoring, because that we cannot leave behind. Employment, performance tracking, and collection of updated employment data. So when we move to to cycle 4, where now we are going to do the observation and reflection, or you can go to the next one, Dr. Paula. Yeah, this is where we are going to do the observation and the reflection. Here, this is now, we are going to look at the pre and the post and the after the intervention comparisons and are conducted, and stakeholders participate in reflective discussions to evaluate the effectiveness and improve strategies. Because I would like to ensure that at least what I'm doing, it is indeed effective. The following activities will be completed: follow-up interviews and focus groups, reflective conversation with stakeholders, and thematic reflection. You can move on. The main objective of the 4 iterative phases, or you can move to the next one, the next slides, Dr. Paula. Yes, these 4 iterative phases, I'm saying the main objective of the 4 iterative phases is to collect data, diagnose the problem, plan. After identifying the problem, we plan and design the intervention strategy, evaluate and compare initial post-intervention data, and reflect on the intervention's effectiveness and refine it in collaboration with stakeholders. 2, unlike sequential data collection, the action research data integration is embedded within each cycle rather than reserved for a single endpoint. Right? So qualitative exploration is critical during the diagnostic phase, and these insights inform the planning of interventions. Post-implementation outcomes are systematically compared with baseline data, and the analytical discussion contextualize observed changes. Data integration occurs during diagnosis to ensure triangulation of qualitative questionnaire and interview data. All right? And during the planning phase, findings are utilized to design interventions, and during evaluation, initial and post-intervention data are compared. Final analysis involves collaborative interpretation with stakeholders. So that is the continuous process within each action and research cycle. We move to data analysis now. Now, on the data analysis, I'm saying qualitative data will be analyzed using thematic analysis to identify patterns in organizational practices and stakeholder perceptions. 2, this method enables systematic interpretation of data to generate meaningful themes relevant to the study objectives. An iterative approach will be employed with findings reported for each research cycle to demonstrate learning adoption and the impact over time, thereby enhancing the credibility and the transparency of the study. So I move now to delimitations. Oh, next slide, Dr. Paula. Delimitation, this study focuses on single rural enterprise called Chivase Agridem in the Vembe district, Limpopo province, that is in South Africa, examining the redesign of its business model to enhance employment creation. The scope is limited to the relationship between business model design, firm capabilities, and employment outcomes, excluding broader macroeconomic or policy factors. This study is further confined to a rural agriculture-based context and adopts an action research approach, emphasizing context-specific learning and practical interventions rather than statistical generalization. Let's move to limitations now. Next slide. Limitations, the single case study design limits generalizability, although the study aims to provide transferable insights. Researcher involvement in the action research process may introduce bias. This will be mitigated through reflexivity and systematic documentation. Findings are context-dependent and may be influenced by rural constraints such as limited infrastructure and market access. Time limitation may limit the observation of long-term employment outcomes, while external factors such as market and economic conditions may also affect those results. So now, next slide is about rigor and ethical consideration. Rigor is ensured through the application of credibility, dependability, confirmability, and transferability criteria. Credibility is enhanced through methodological triangulation using multiple data sources and member checking to validate findings. Dependability in qualitative research refers to the consistency, stability, and reliability of findings over time. It demonstrates that the research process was logical, traceable, and documented, allowing other researchers to follow the same steps and reach similar conclusions, ensuring the study's trustworthiness. It will be ensured by maintaining an audit a trail and applying iterative action research cycles. Confirmability is achieved through reflexive journaling to minimize bias. Transferability is facilitated through detailed contextual descriptions. Ethical rigor is maintained through informed consent, confidentiality, and voluntary participation in line with established research ethics standards. I thank you. I thank you. You may have questions and feedback.
Thank you, Mr. Mashudu. Anybody have questions for Mr. Mashudu?
Very good
Okay,
one.
Mr. Mashudu, there's
President.
something. Oh, yeah, go ahead, Mr. Basnet.
Very good one. I'm also an employment expert in Nepal, so providing advisory support to the government. Whenever people, brings academic research on the employment side, I got more attachment. Looks very good one because he's focusing in just one district, so it can be doable. But the context is so complex. Maybe he could actually try to revise his methodological side. If he go and try to gather informations and change the policies perspective, then implement it again, check the perspective. It's a never-ending process. So he's gonna be in problem in terms of like gathering evidences at last. So maybe he will think. I suggest him to think about some other perspective. Rather going through action process, he could go and just finding out the information only and producing. The final outcome is definitely a implementation strategy, which is appreciable. But if you go on action learning kind of a pathway, and his life is going to be so difficult. Over.
Thank you, Mr. Basnet. I appreciate the sharing. You see, when one is in the rural environment, because like I said, I'm there in the rural as the chief. I'm also here in the urban area as a businessman. So I do few things differently, but my main point which I want to do is to ensure that those poor of the poorest, where I can, I must extend the helping hand. one way or the other. So I try to say, is it to give money? I said no, but it has to be, let's teach them how to fish, so as at least they can fish for themselves. So that is the whole approach. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Mashudu, there was a question in the chat from Dr. Hanif. He said an
Yes.
informative presentation. I was just curious regarding what criteria will you use to evaluate the success of each action research cycle?
That's a good question. For me, I looked at it to say that as I'm going through these cycles, I will be able to look at pre and post implementation. Then I will also be able to sit there and evaluate whether this particular phase is effective or not. That will really help quite a lot, and it will speed up the process. Because one is not going to be waiting until after a very long time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mashudu. Okay, I don't see any further questions in the chat. Anyone else? Any questions for Mr. Mashudu? If not, then we're going to move on to Mr. Jiran. Mr. Jiran, I hope you're here. Maybe you can try sharing your screen, see if everything's working. I see that you're here, but I can't hear you. Mr. Jiran? Okay, maybe he stepped away from his computer. Then let's go on with the next one. Banza, are you ready? I can share. I think you shared it with me.
Okay.
Give me a second. I need to find you. Banza. Banza, did you email it to me or you sent it to me for WhatsApp?
Yeah, I sent it through WhatsApp.
Oh, okay. You
Let me
have a different number. Okay, yes, I found it. All good.
Okay.
Okay, let me increase it so we can, whoops. So we can see it. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen, Banza, and then you can start presenting. Okay, you can go ahead, Banza. Banza, I think you're muted.
Hello, everyone, especially Dr. Paula. I'm very excited to present, and my topic is analysis of factors affecting women, political participation, leadership disparities in public institutions in Olomami Province, Democratic Republic of Congo. And as you know, I am trying to start with background. In my background, it is extremely noted that parity, the law of parity between men and women is written in Article 40 of DRC Constitution of 2006. And it is now written, the government of the Republic should ensure the right of women and women to be represented in the same equal treatment, like fight against the discrimination, marginalization, and women should have the right to participate equal to men. That means 50-50 parity. And this study argued that the failure of this law of parity is the failure is the implementation of the Article 40 and the law number 15 and the 013 is not well implementing. Women are facing challenges how to get access to political participation, especially in public institutions in Olomami province. Many women are not well represented, are underrepresented. And this underrepresentation means women are not given the same rights. They are not allowed to participate because they are, especially in my province, the Olomami province, political and the cultural is one of the reasons that keep out the women to leadership positions. In terms of research problem, I can say despite the adoption of the policy, there is policy called parity, law of parity, and it is written even in our constitution, but women still facing challenges how to get access, how to participate as is mentioned and written to the constitution. And women are not even allowed to participate in elections, in campaigns, and maybe of them they are facing challenges in terms of economic, cultural, and political factors that are very a serious issue in our province. Because of these three factors, women are not able to even to participate in public institution. And another one, can you please, because the slide is very small.
I can zoom in.
Dr.
Just tell me where to zoom in.
Okay, to zoom, because I'm not able to see something.
Which section do you want me to zoom in on?
From research objectives. Okay. Thank you, doctor. Thank you, doctor, for this. Yeah. And in terms of research objective, the first one is to identify and analyze factors that influences women participation in political leadership in public institutions in the Olomami province. The second one is to examine the impact of these factors, women disparities, in accessing to leadership position in public institutions. And another one, the first one, is to propose strategies which can address those disparities. That means there are political
Banza, I cannot hear you. Did you freeze or?
Yeah, I think he froze because I think all
think
we
it got, I think it got cut off.
Okay, I don't know if it's gonna reconnect or not. Yeah, I think he's out of the meeting. He usually, oh no, he's there, but without video. Banda, can you hear us? I've noticed he sometimes has connection issues because he comes and goes also in my classes.
Sorry,
Okay.
the issue of electricity. Now
Okay.
the connection.
Okay,
So
you're
now-
back. Okay, good.
Sorry for that.
No worries.
Yeah, I was saying now it is now the research question. If we can help me to go, the next is yeah. Now, in terms of research questions, I have 3 questions, and the first one is: what are the social, cultural, economic, and political factors that influence women participation in public institutions in Olomami province? The another one is: how do these factors, that means political, economic, and cultural, contribute to disparities faced by women in accessing leadership positions in public institutions? And another one is: what strategies can be employed to address these disparities and to promote women participation in political leadership in public institutions? Next one, please. Okay. Now, I'm going to talk about research method. In this, research design is a mixed method approach that combine quantitative and qualitative. And in terms of participants, I will go to get information, to collect data to official NGOs, civil society organizations, mayors, employees, administrations from public institutions, and women factors against gender inequality, those who are currently fighting against discrimination and marginalization of women. And in terms of the size, simple size for is 381, and the data collection will be conducted online questionnaires and semi-structured interviews. In terms of data analysis, descriptive statistics for quantitative data, and qualitative will use thematic. Okay. Can you please go to the key findings? Yeah, as we saw in our figures, we can find that 64% of respondents agree that discrimination and marginalization of women during appointment is the main causes of gender leadership disparities. And regarding recommendation measures, 66% said it is required now to reinforce the current legal framework because the laws are there. The constitution is allowed women to have 50% with men, and there is even law of parity. But people, especially policymakers, generally they are men. They still what can I say? They are not able to allow the women to participate in public institutions. And the law is clear. The law said people during appointment process, women should have 50% and the men should also have 50%. That means women should be given the authority and the power to be appointed, same equal treatment, and fighting against all forms of discrimination. Okay, can I go on another slide? Yeah, another one is result and analysis. Yeah, political factors that affect women political leadership in Olomami province is patriarchy, known as discrimination, marginalization, lack of political will, and by legislators, there are also exclusion of women in appointments, their decision making, and the men as policymakers, as I said before, are discriminating women during appointment process. And the official consider that legal and policy reforms are considered as requirement measure that can be help women to participate in public institutions and to work without discrimination. And in terms of conclusion, I said law number 50030 in 1st August 2015. Let me talk about of this law. This law was sent to enforce, even to give women right to participate. But legislators are not giving the opportunity to allow women. That means that people are still in cultural practice and are not able to help women to participate in public institutions. That is why it is required to reinforce the law, and this law can now be a framework that can allow women to participate. Thank you so much for listening and to be patient with me. Hello?
Okay, thank you, Banza. Yes, thank you for presenting. There's a comment from Mr. Busnet in the chat, but I think it's a comment. It's not a question. Does anybody have a question for Banza? Okay, then I see that Jiren has joined. Hi, Jiren. I think we should be able to hear you now.
Hi, I'm hearing.
Okay, I will share a presentation, right?
Yeah.
Okay, then let me share it. Then please tell me when I have to switch between the slides so that I know. Okay, I think that everybody should be able to see his slides now. Okay, you can go ahead, Jiren.
Okay. Hi everyone. Thank you very much for this conference arrangement. I'm Jiren. My presentation will be the initial idea for the my main research. So I'm going to present on the strategic evaluation of Pan-African payment and the settlement system, on optimizing foreign currency liquidity in case of one bank in Ethiopia, known as Hijra Bank. So for the sake of time, let me start from the next slide, Doctor. Yeah, the next slide. Yeah, first of all, as a context of the background of the study, the African financial system, especially the banking sector, including Ethiopia, is navigating a pivotal era of macroeconomic reform. However, it yet remains structurally anchored to the global architecture that demand hard currency for every international trade settlement. This means all the banks in Africa, whether the big banks, the tier 1 banks or small banks, they need to settle their payment through large global Western-based banks through US clearing banks. So as a context, there are key structural challenges which should be addressed. The first one is as a currency, there is hard currency dependency, which is USD dependency. All inter-African trade clears through those US clearing Western big banks, because it is impossible to exchange payment by the local African currencies. The other one is de-risking pressure on the banks. They are de-risking pressures because the global tier 1 banks are rising compliance thresholds in terms of assets requirement, in terms of compliance. So most of the banks were not fulfill these criteria, and that's why they are struggling for foreign currency liquidity as well as managing a customer transaction within a few days. The other one is since I'm going to do this research on a Sharia compliant bank, the interest-free bank, which is in fact the new in the world, as well as the development as alternative banking system recently, especially for the 3 decades all over the world. So the Sharia compliant bank, especially the constraint, the structural challenge will tough for Sharia compliant banks because it is not operate under all trade finance options under conventional banking. The other one is liquidity trap. This is the local currency cannot convert efficiently for regional trade because the banks, the local banks cannot use a local currency for the real-time settlement on the trade finance activities. So payment and payment and settlement system represent more than payment trail. It is a declaration of African financial sovereignty, offering local currency settlement that could fundamentally redefine how banks, especially banks in Ethiopia, in the Ethiopias, manage international liquidities. The next slide. Doctor, the next slide. Yeah, thank you. The statement of the problem. As a statement of the problem, I try to raise some problems under their background. There is chronic foreign currency deficit in Africa, specifically in Ethiopia. And also there is structural US dependency, Sharia compliance gap, and correspondent banking barriers. So answered in this research. As a research objectives, this research will cover around 4 dimensions. The first one is the PAPS adoption viability, the first one on the next slide. The second one is regulatory barriers analysis. The third one is technical infrastructure readiness, and the fourth one is economic feasibility and the Sharia integration. So as a research objective, I would like to focus on the 4 strategic pillars of inquiry. So for this all, I've tried to clearly set the research questions on the next slide, 4 critical questions for this study. The first one is directly related to liquidity impacts. How does the transition from US dominated clearing to Pan-African payment and settlement mediated local currency settlement influence the net foreign currency position and the liquidity coverage ratio at Hijra Bank specifically, because since it is applied research, it is better to focus specifically on the bank, specific bank. Then the second one is regulatory bottleneck. The research question related to regulatory bottlenecks, because it is a new phenomena. The Pan-African Payment and the Settlement is, as an institution, it is a new, but we have to see the regulatory bottleneck as well, whether the specific market is banks in Ethiopia, National Bank of Ethiopia directives, foreign exchange control regulations, the reporting requirements are currently act as institutional bottleneck for joining the PAPS ecosystem. So I have to study this as one area, and the other one is technical inhibitors, like what are the primary technical inhibitors, such as core banking system compatibility, because this Pan-African Payment and Settlement System is a system which is, have its own a core banking system, as well as security, cyber security standards and the protocol, and another standard. So knowing this technical aspect is very important. So in order to know the readiness, I want to also focus on this area. The fourth one is cost and the benefits, cost, benefit, and the Sharia harmony. How to this is what is the quantitative cost and the benefit disparity between PAPS and the traditional US clearing, and how this regional workflow be harmonized with the Sharia principle. This is the research question. As a methodology, as a research methodology, I'm going to use the sequential explanatory mixed method research design. So on the first phase, from quantitative I want to assess Hijra Bank trade finance ledgers for the last 3 years, longitudinal audit of Hijra Bank trade finance ledger over 3 years spread, measuring settlement lead time, transaction fees, and the forex spread losses. From qualitative aspect, the semi-structured interview with 10 to 12 senior expertise at Hijra Bank executive, Sharia advisory board members, National Bank of Ethiopia regulators to surface institutional resistance. On the third phase, there will be a literature review. As I said, this is a new phenomena. There's a new in Africa, even though there is so many initiatives like Africa Continental Free Trade Area, and another initiatives. I have to review minimum of 3 major, the rise of regional financial act. This is the research methodology. Finally, there will be the dependent and the independent variables, and also as well as moderating variables on this study. So as I said before, this is the initial research proposal idea, and also the topic is also very new. So I expect feedbacks from this program students, and also constructive comments. So I will reflect on those points. If there is any question, suggestions, and any another matters. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Jiren. I think Jiren is a good example of a student who just actually started our program, and he already agreed to present, completely initial findings. So thank you very much. I think that takes a lot of courage to do that. So thank you, Jiren.
Thank
Okay,
you. Thank you,
any questions for Jiren? Reiner?
I don't have the questions, but the thing is, like, Jiren has got like 4 very difficult RQs, business questions. I would rather just simply stick in one, maybe a Sharia law only, and its impact to the financial transactions. I mean, if he try to gather all of the informations, then maybe it's possible. It's not. I'm not saying that it's not possible. It's gonna take a huge time frame to invest and gather all these 4 RQs. I mean, a single archive can also be split into number of archives. That's my feedback to him.
Thank you, Mr. Besnet. Reiner? You're muted.
Yeah. Me and technology, you know. I have no AI agent helping me with this. Yeah, this would have been my feedback as well. I would have chosen only RQ4. And my question would be to Saren, how many years do you plan to do this doctorate? I mean, it's well structured and everything is in there, but it's going to be 3 books, I think. Over.
Thank you. Yes, so me and Jern will be working on, narrowing down his topic. So as I said, he just started. So yes, Dr. Roy also agreed that the scope is always an issue. So those of you, I see many of you here, part of my gang who join my classes, you know that a lot of us went from, huge topics to very narrow ones. So yeah, that happens with all the students. It's completely normal. Okay, now I will allow Ozaro to present because he texted me that it's very late where he is. So I'm going to give him the chance so that he can get to bed. So Ozaro, go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. It's quite late here. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you.
And can you see my slide?
Yes, you could make it full screen with the
Okay.
slideshow.
Okay, all right. Just give me a minute.
Perfect.
All right. So good evening, everyone. My name is Osaro Ibarago. I am an English teacher. I've been teaching for over 13 years. Currently live in Vietnam. I'm from Nigeria. And I'll be presenting on my research proposal. I'm still on at the proposal stage. And so my topic is Ascent Bias in ELT hiring, understanding employers' perspective and teachers' experience to inform fairer hiring practices. And of course, my supervisor is the amiable Professor Krishna. And within this period, we've been able to do, like you said, revisions on the scope of my research because I'm quite passionate about this topic. I'm a participant in it, so it's dear to my heart. So so this is my topic. Like I said, Ascent Bias in ELT hiring, understanding employers' perspective and teachers' experience to inform hiring, a fairer hire practice. So I'm going to talk on this in a few minutes. I'm going to start by the introduction. I'm going to look at the literature review. I'm going to look at the research objective, research questions, and also methodology and the expected outcomes. Then we can have a Q&A, but just very briefly because of time constraints. My study is going to investigate how Ascent influences recruitment decisions in English language teaching, ELT, particularly in Vietnam, where I currently reside and work, and is going to explore how hiring practices can become more equitable and competency-based. So, several studies have documented a strong preference for native English speakers across Asia and Middle East. Employers often associate native-like accents with teaching competence, even when there is no evidence to support these assumptions. In Vietnam, for example, this preference is very visible in recruitment advertisements, in marketing strategies, in institutional practices, and consequently, many qualified non-native English speakers experience challenge in gaining recognizable and professional legitimacy. So I'm going to look at the literature review. The literature consistently shows that non-native English speakers often face disadvantages despite possessing relevant and equivalent qualifications. And I'm quite, I would say a victim of that, and a recurring theme in the assumption is that native-like pronunciation signals teaching quality, which I find to be a little bit absurd. However, research has found little evidence supporting this belief. Importantly, while some studies on hiring bias have documented these issues, there remains limited research focused specifically on accent bias in Vietnam. So that is the research gap. Of course, there are many studies that have shown hiring biases and accent discrimination, but none has been done here in Vietnam. So that is the research gap I'm trying to fill in this study. So the objective of my study here, as you can see, is to do three things. First, to expose the prevalence and manifestation of accent bias in ELT hiring through employers and institutional perspective. And secondly, is to understand and explore the lived experiences of non-native English speakers in navigating accent-related biases. And thirdly, is to provide a reform to develop and propose evidence-based recommendations for hiring framework. So in this, the research seeks to not only identify biases, but to understand its impacts and contribute practical solutions. And ultimately, the goal is to move ELT hiring towards a merit-based framework that evaluates teachers on competence rather than on accent or nationality. Next, I'm going to explore the research questions, and I have 3 research questions here. Also, to really explore the 2 aspects of this research is to look at the employers' perceptions and also the lived experiences of teachers. So the first question would be, what biases influences employers' decision-making? And the second question would be, how do non-native English teachers navigate these challenges? And the third would be, how can hiring system improve? So these questions are going to inform the research. And moving forward, my research methodology, I'm exploring a mixed method research. Of course, I'm still yet to discuss it with my supervisor, but this is what I think will be appropriate, because I would like to really get a broader view, not just researching on only statistics, but also to have a first-hand understanding of these biases or this perception that employers may have. Of course, I understand some of them, but again, hearing from the horse's mouth will be very, very vital to make this research more encompassing. So I'll be using a mixed method action research, exploring the quantitative and qualitative aspects of it using surveys and interviews. And my target participants will be between 300 in total, right? And the quantitative research would majorly gather measurable evidence of accent-related experiences, and the qualitative also will explore deeper perception, motivations, and experiences of the teachers and the perception of employers in this field. And I intend to use a thematic analysis to analyze my data. So the thematic analysis will explore to proper capture both the employers and teachers' perspective on the subject matter. And as one will say, Vietnam has served. Vietnam is actually serving as my case study for this research because the ESL or the EIU market is really, really high here, and it will be a very good, outcome at the end of the day. And next, I'll be looking at the expected outcome and contribution to the field. This study aims to make 4 key contributions. First, I would like to provide empirical evidence regarding Asst biases in Vietnam ELT sector. And secondly, I would like to amplify the voices of non-native English speakers, teaching speakers whose experience are often misinterpreted and underrepresented. And third, this study is going to propose practical hiring recommendations that focus on qualifications and teaching effectiveness rather than accents. And finally, the finding would be quite relevant to not just Vietnam in particular, but also a broader global context. And as you know, as a non-native English speaking teacher here, I have experienced this firsthand, and I understand that, of course, I might have biases. I recognize that bias, but again, that is why I'm trying to expand the scope, the participants, to make sure that everyone's voice and experience is properly captured, both from the employer's perspective and also from that of the teachers. So this research is really going to help to mitigate these biases that we find in ELT here in Vietnam, and probably would create better framework that employers will explore to going forward to hire non-native English speakers and native speakers alike. So that is just a brief sum up of my research, and I'm open to any question if there is any. Thank you.
Thank you, Ozaro. There's a question from Dr. Roy in the chat. Maybe you can take a look.
Hold on, I need to go back on sharing my screen. Okay, now I can see the questions.
And I would just like to ask Mr. Son Nimol, you're next,
Okay.
so please get prepared for your presentation.
Well, Dr. Roy, I mean, this is a very important question, and I understand the bias that may exist, but I think one way is to be very open and genuine about my own personal experience, especially when it comes to the justification of my study. I have to be able to justify that, and also put it right there in my research that my experiences could also have, or is going to shape most of the questions and aspects of which I'm going to explore, because that is one of the reasons why I'm doing the research, not just for myself, but other non-native English speakers who might be going through the same problem. And it's not just here, it's not just about Vietnam itself, but I think across the world we find these accents. I don't want to call it discrimination or nationality issues, but I think reducing the scope to accent itself will better help me give better recommendations and results in this research. So I think I would be able to genuinely state the bias and also be very factual in how I conduct my interviews and make sure that there are no personal biases that will be reflected in the questionnaires and even the interview questions itself. So I don't know if that helps, sir.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have any questions? I see that Reiner gave a suggestion that maybe the research questions are a bit vague and would need more context and details. Okay, anybody else? Any questions for Azara before we let him go?
The research questions is a little bit broader, but since I'm using a slide, I just tried to summarize everything. Like I said, it's a work in progress, and there are a lot of things that I need to also put in place to make it very more fleshy. And I think, even the topic itself was a little bit broader than that, but my supervisor was able to cut it down so that we stay within the scope of an action research, length and all of that. So I think I can always do well to refine that research questions.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
Dr. Ross said South Korea. Yes, exactly. That is my aim, because here in Vietnam, the ELT market is emerging, and there is still this perception or feeling that only people who come from the perceived native speaking countries, even inclusive in South Africa, are able to teach, regardless of if they have the qualification, if they have the experience. And I think with time, researchers like this would be able to do well to answer these questions and address the concerns that many non-native teachers would have, sir.
Okay, thank you, Azara.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Azara, we're gonna let you go. You can have your good night's sleep. So very good night.
Thank you very much. All right, good night.
And yeah, good night. And Mr. Sonimo, go ahead. You can share your screen.
Yeah, Dr. Abola. Hello, everyone. You got it?
Hi, Son, can you share it in full? Yes, perfect.
Already got it?
Yes.
Okay. So first of all, I would like to introduce myself to everyone and to Dr. Abola. Yes. I'm Sunimo from Cambodia. I'm the officer of government, public work and transport. My career is the wastewater development sector. Yes. So I would like to introduce our topic, development of urban city wastewater infrastructure to ensure resilience and stability in Cambodia. Our government have the strategy for the new mandate, like a 7 mandate right now. We have the 4 pentacles, but pentacle number 4, we said the how to sustainability resilient for public health sanitation, such as the urban management, wastewater management. Yes. In Cambodia, they have the SDG, Standard Development Goal. So aligned with our sector, GDSWM, General Department, Sewerage Wastewater Management, how to achieve 50% by 2035 for treated wastewater across the city, across the country. Yes. Our wastewater system management. So right now we completed 30 projects already, still under operation and maintenance. And 5 projects are under construction right now. And other 7 projects is under planning feasibility study. Yes. The statement problem in Cambodia has the sufficient development in urban wastewater infrastructures in recent years, progress the mini wastewater plant system still facing challenges related to resilience, sustainability in terms of operation and maintenance, how to efficiencies in terms for technical capacity building. Also, this is the key challenge for our sector. Number 3, objectives, general objective to examination the development of urban wastewater infrastructure in Cambodia in order how to enhance resilience and sustainability for our sector. The specific objectives to identify the major key challenges that affect to resilient sustainability of urban wastewater projects in Cambodia. And then we ranking the key challenges influence the development and sustainability of urban wastewater infrastructures. The methodology, research design, exploratory, sequential, mixed method, approach, qualitative interview followed by quantitative surveys. Our participation from our ministry, from our unit of wastewater in national level and sub-national level. In national level in ministry and sub-national level is the provincial. So we combine all both level how to get what is a real things. The data collection, semi-structure interview and online questionnaires. Semi-interview, we separate two parts. One is the office working and another one is a field working, who we have experience at field and who we have experience in office. And online questionnaire, so this is in general and mixed with another organization that have experience in our development wastewater project. So like from the consultant company, from another contractor, and from another expert. So this is the data collection. Data analysis, thematic analysis for qualitative data and descriptive statistics and rankings method for qualitative data. And later on, we get the key findings. The key finding, yes. The key finding we have to the major challenges, how to resilience, like human resource, like institutional capacity building, reliable, efficiency, maintenance and operation, O&M, the technical system, how to adapt with our contact country, monitoring and evaluation system, emergency preparedness, and sustainability, the key finding. What is budget support, long-term finance for our sector? Tariff setting, wastewater fee, cost recovery, human capital, public awareness, how to examination workshop to our society. Private sector participants, this is needed for our private sector to jam in how to invest for the wastewater project. And then a ranking of key challenges. This is the ranking key challenges. We classify have two. The one is the most important and another one is less important. The most important is the budget support of long-term financings, tariff, wastewater fee from households, wastewater fee from consumer, cost recovery, human resource, reliable, efficiencies, maintenance operation, O&M, human capacity, institutional capacity building, training, public awareness, monitoring and evaluation system, technology system, private sector, jump in our sector, emergency preparedness. After that, we get it, what is the implication in our sector? Finally, this one. After we found things, we can have the policy maker, the prioritize how to improve in our sector, wastewater management sector. And then our study also may support, can be support to our sector, how to development, resilient and sustainability, urban wastewater policy and strategy for better and enhance our sectors, wastewater sector management in Cambodia. So my presentation is short because right now I think everyone may be a little bit sleepy and boring. That's also, thank you. Have anyone question, please?
Thank you, Mr. Nimol.
Yes.
Anybody have any questions? Okay. I guess no questions, really? Okay, we have a question in the chat. Mr. Nimol, can you see it?
No. I cannot see it.
Maybe you can stop sharing and then open the chat.
I think so. Okay.
Dr. Roy is asking, what degree are you pursuing?
What degree are you pursuing? The degree for, this is our background or what degree this one? Please.
No, I think
sure.
he means if you're doing a DBA or which degree at EIU are you doing?
Right now, this is the doctorate of management in construction field, in construction management.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Demand, okay. Yes. Okay. Demand, yes. Okay.
Okay, and Suresh is asking, from your ranking of key challenges, which one do you think is the quickest win for improving resilience in Cambodia's urban wastewater systems and why?
Budget support, financial long term, this is very important. No money cannot do something.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, then we can move on, I guess, to our next presenter. Mr. Alain Nemours, I see that you're here.
Yes, I'm trying to share my screen.
Okay.
Just give me one. Let me know when you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see it. Perfect, now it's full screen.
Yes. So thank you, Dr. Paula, for this great initiative and for all the presenters. It was a great presentation. So today, I'm gonna present. It's not really my research, but this is what triggered me to do my research. So I will just give you a bunch of different alignment of my research, and then at the end you will see my research study and what I've done for my research, because I'm doing a DBA focused on cybersecurity, leadership, and risk management. So my name is Alain Nemours. So as you can see, I have different certification in cybersecurity. I'm a cybersecurity GRC lead. And right now, my study is focusing on AI-driven third-party risk management in financial services. So what triggered this study is in terms of how the use of AI has become unstoppable in different environments from different fields, financial services to telecommunication industries, and so on and so forth. Um, and as you can see here, there is this link from the World Economic Forum, which is the cyber resilience was always the goal, but frontier AI make it urgent. So if we go back to Asafa presentation, she was talking a lot about AI, and I think everybody was talking about AI and say that AI is in our daily life. So this is where the cyber attack are really trying to escalate, and from a business perspective, can have different impact from a financial impact and operational impact. And this is, I brought here the TPRM message from a post that I saw from a study done by KPMG. How has the growing interconnectedness of business increased the importance of third-party risk in the financial services industry? So this is what have triggered me to do my research in AI-driven third-party risk management in financial services. As you can see here is a bit of an introduction. What is cyber resilience? So cyber resilience from a cyber perspective is the ability to prepare for cyber threat. Everybody talk about cyber threat, talk about phishing, talk about different risks that can happen or impact from an organizational perspective. But what we don't talk about is what we're gonna do for the continuity of a business operation. So first of all, we need to be able to detect and respond to a cyber attack. If we can't detect, how we're gonna respond to a cyber attack, and from there we need some kind of tool so that we can perform the job. And now we can't just do it manually. This is where this AI tool framework came into the picture, where we need to use AI for the recovery or the detection or any response from an automatization perspective. So when we detect and respond on the cyber attack, we need to recover quickly from disruption. Why? Because business need to work and you need to deliver if you work with client or any operation. And there can be also kind of regulatory impact or financial impact from a business perspective. And this is where the continuous business operation came into play. But here we look at continuous business operation, but there is the word securely. So let's say you have a company where there has been an attack from the primary side, where the production side is down and you can't work anymore. There is the secondary side you can operate. The good thing is you can operate your business, but is it secure to operate your business in this way when there's an attack from the primary side and you just use the secondary side? So this is the question that I will try to address now. And why it matter? So it matter because the increase of digital transformation. Everywhere we talk about digital transformation, I am in Canada here, everywhere in the news, the government talk about that and provide budget for that. But there is something which is happening that we'll see during my next slide, where you will see the amount of money that has been paid to the hacker in Canada in terms of the cyber threat or any vulnerabilities that have been found in different systems from big organizations. And there is this rising cyber attack globally. So you will see to it in the next slide too. And the dependence on cloud and remote work. So everybody is working remotely. We are working from home from different countries. Here in this group, we are from different countries. So I am in Canada, over folks is in Congo and Cambodia and everywhere. And do we know exactly how we are connected? It's secure. No, we don't know. Why? Because we are just using the tool without knowing about our security. And this is kind of today's cybersecurity landscape. So the expansion of attack surface. Why? Because we talk a lot about artificial intelligence, and we have to artificial intelligence and cybersecurity. Let's say you are using ChatGPT tool, any AI tool like Anthropic, AI Claude, or chatbot or anything you are using in your company, Gemini and all. So why don't we use artificial intelligence, cybersecurity to detect response and to make sure that your AI tool that you are using is managing by another AI to make sure that you're secure, you're using the tool securely, because in AI tool, whenever you are doing search or something, sometimes by mistake, you can just insert like client data, which can have an impact from a regulatory perspective of the organization. So cybersecurity is not only a business priority, but a geopolitical priority, but also what we need to know is everything needs to be protected. So we need to know where our assets are, what need to be protected in an organization. And from there, if you see at the current cyber threat landscape, so here is an extraction of the current cybersecurity landscape from, can you see my slide? I don't know what happened. Can everybody see my slide?
Yes, we can see the top recent cybersecurity incident in Canada.
Yeah, so the top recent cybersecurity event in Canada, like you can see here, it's there is this company which is called Taylor Cyber Breach in 2026, which has happened this year. And this cyber attack has estimated of 60,000 million ransom demand. And in terms of the data breach, it's 700 TB of data, including corporate clients. So TELUS is a telecommunications industry where all of the data of the client is being hosted on the cloud environment. But there has been kind of data breach, but we don't know as a user what has happened, if they has paid, and what has been the step forward for them to address that. But what I can say from that is in Canada, we are running from a technical recession, which means that many of the employees from TELUS has lost their job. They has let go many of the employees. Is this because of this cyber attack? This we don't know. This is kind of a question that we try to find out and try to address from a cybersecurity perspective in terms of a law and regulatory perspective too, because there are different regulations here in terms of, for example, I will take one which everybody know, like the GDPR. So here we have the Law 25. Law 25 is the protection of data. So if TELUS has a data breach and extortion of the data, and they have paid the ransomware. So what happened to this employee? Is this employee have been let go because of that? So we can't look the cybersecurity incident as only a technical problem, but it's a economical problem. So if you look at the second one, Canadian Investment Regulatory Organization, the same thing, data breach, and these are kind of the sensitive information. The most sensitive information that they hosted is the SIN numbers. The SIN numbers is the number of social security number of an individual, where you can use everywhere for a loan, to buy a car, for everything. And there has been a lot of hacking from this perspective, where different people has they're calling them to pay their loan, and when they investigate this, they saw like, no, I would take loan from this bank or didn't buy this car, but they have this loan on their name. Why? Because these different SIN numbers has been taken or has been hacked by bad guys or hackers. So this is where cybersecurity is very important, and the control around it important too. So these are all different kind of key benefits of the importance of cyber resilience. So it's to reduce downtime, protect sensitive data, build customer trust, improve regulatory compliance, and ensure business continuity. For me here, the number two is one of the most important. This is where I will focus. My focus is from my research, what I'm doing for AI-driven third-party risk management. The protection of data, we have different law, DORA, PPDA, Law 25, DDPR, a lot of different law from different countries. If we add all these law, it will be like a ton of law that we need to apply so that we can protect the client data, which is very important. So this is kind of the different key benefits why the importance of cyber resilience and control are. And this is what has triggered me to do my research in this field too. And the different key components, I will not go into the details because I know time is running, But there is the risk assessment, the strong security measure, incident response plan, and backup and recovery. For sure, everybody here work in a company, and in this company that you work for, have all these 4 key elements. So the risk assessment, whenever there is auditing, just to find out or evaluate the critical asset that you have. Some of the company have a lot of assets, but they don't know exactly where the critical assets are. So they need to invest on to identify vulnerabilities from auditing or AI tools. Strong security measure, we all use multi-factor authentication to connect on our email and everything. And there is the encryption. So everybody's using WhatsApp here. So what happens is when you send a message, this is a two-way traffic, one-to-one encryption. What does that mean is if someone breaks in, he will not be able to read the email on a clear text. So the email will be encrypted. So you will not be able to read it. And this is where the hacker, this is the bad guy, get into the transmission of data from a company side, from email perspective, where you will not be able to read your email. So you need to invest on that. Incident response plan, the same thing. So you need to define the different playbooks for your company in terms of the procedure that you need to put in place to report incidents. The backup, the same thing. So this is the example I took earlier. So you can have a primary side. If it's down because of cyber attack, then you need to have a backup and recovery side so I can recover the data of a candidate, of an employee and everything for your company to be continuously operate. And one of the things that came mostly, and this is the debate right now around the cybersecurity expert, is our human or employee is the weakest link in an organization to provoke or create cyber attack. So for me, yes, for some, no. But employee are often the first target. You receive a phishing, you click on it, it's a cyber attack. Why? Because there's lack of cyber awareness in this company, and there are no much but big practices. So there are lack of best practices for this company, or cyber training, cybersecurity training not provided. So everybody here will recognize some of these human factor here that you have applied in your company or your company is missing. So maybe something that you can raise in your company too, because you don't use, for example, a strong password, or someone is using a password for 100 accounts that he got. So this is where you put target on the suspicious activity that you have, and where cyber attack and bad guy can easily hack or get into your system and impact your operation. And these are the key challenges in achieving cyber resilience. So common challenges are rapid evolving threat. So we were talking about AI, limited cybersecurity budget because it's not going into boardroom now. It's only discussion around the technical teams or the expert, overcoming challenges, complex IT environment. So the integration of different SaaS, which is the software as a service environment, the different tool that has been developed on site, but without testing, without going through different phases of testing, and they only deployed on production. So this is where it can have a lack of, can keep loopholes for the vulnerabilities. Skill shortage for sure, but there are a lot of people who's doing like degree in cybersecurity, but they don't have experience and their skills because they need to have hands-on on this domain. And the continuous improvement I was talking about, but in terms of the auditing, regulatory security update from a system perspective, like you do on your iPhone, every time there is an update, you need to update it, and collaboration and training too. So this is kind of my recommendation, which I have put also on my research, the strategies for organization develop a cyber resilience, because I'm developing a framework for that, which is based on the different standard guidelines that we have on the market, which is very recognized. One, conduct regulatory security audit, implement employee program, test incident response plan, and invest in modern cybersecurity tools. So I will not talk long on that. So this is my thesis details. My title thesis is AI-driven third-party risk management in financial services, and the methodology I'm using in quantitative research using a structured survey questionnaire. And my target participant is the different cybersecurity professional who have like 5 years, up to 5 years in the cyber industries. The format question is a combination of multiple choice and open-ended question, so that I can gather like kind of measurable data and qualitative insight. The status right now for my research, I receive 30 participants who have filled my survey so far, and my target is 50. So there's like 20 to go. And my objective is to build a GRC tools to manage cybersecurity risk. So I have started to build this tool because I'm also a hands-on on the technical side and infrastructure approach. So I'm trying to build a tools from my research so that I can use this for the management of not only third-party risk, but the management of auditing or different law. If there is a law, you need to align your company for this law, so you can do this for this GRC tool. So this is kind of the different thesis details. And just to give you quickly a bunch of participant professional background and experience. So right now, like I said, 30 people have enrolled and have response to my participant survey. So the survey participant roles, you will see like 13.3% of GRC and advisor, which is from a consultant background, and IT security advisor is 16%, and 10% is kind of risk practice leader. And in terms of years of experience, there are a lot of different years of experience here, but more of them is it's not 5, but 10 to 20 years of experience in this field. And the familiarity, this is where I need to work more on, is the familiarity with AI in risk management. Like you will see here, limited is 23% and moderate is 53%. So my expectation was supposed to be like there was a lot of experts out there who can do the job, but it seems that there is limited experts who can help organizations to protect themselves from a cyber attack using AI. And what is the conclusion out of this is cyber resilience is not just an IT responsibility. It is a business necessity in digital era. So cyber threats are increasing rapidly. Technology and employee awareness are essential. Cyber resilience combined prevention and recovery, and continuous improvement is necessary. And just to end up my presentation, so I saw this by Anne-Kate Butler. She is the director of UK Intelligence and Cybersecurity Forum. So she said, from living rooms to boardroom to make cybersecurity 10 times more urgent. So I leave you with this quote. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. I see we already have a raised hand from Reiner.
Anna, thank you very much. I have 1,000 questions. I'm currently the head of our cyber risk team in my organization. And I agree, it's not under IT, it's under support, because this is where it belongs. And nothing was new. So first question, what makes you so sure that you're the first one and only one doing this dissertation? But I'm sure you have researched that. But the second question is, the aim, is it to encourage someone to build an AI tool, or are there AI tools available already on the market?
Thanks for the question, Reina. So yeah, I'm not the only one who has done different research on cybersecurity, third-party management in financial services. But for me, the difference is, for me, is using AI as a tool for the risk management, right? So to strengthen the cybersecurity resilience for an organization. So this is the difference, the add-on of the AI tools. The second thing is for the GRC. So there's a lot of GRC tools, yes, which I'm using right now, but you know for sure, Drata, Vanta, and CISO Assistant and everything. But what I'm trying to build here is based on the methodology, different methodology from different countries. Because, for example, I'm using Drata here. There are different laws in Canada, and some of them is not aligned, and I can't use Drata for that because Drata didn't provide this balance of different law that came into the market. right? So what I'm trying to build is a specific framework that englobes different law and standard and guidelines from different countries, so that I can apply it everywhere you will go or everywhere you will want to use this tool. So this is what I'm trying to do. This is a lot of work, but my research is based mainly on these different situation and strategies.
Thank you, and I agree. This will be the hardest part, to make this tool or those tools compliant with all the different rules and regulations we have, not only national but also organizational. Good luck, and I'm waiting for the result.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I will share it with you.
Okay, anybody else? I see Asefa has a question in the chat. These days, AI is used by hackers too. In that case, how can still make the organization resilient?
Yes, that's a great question. This is what I was talking before. So we use AI, ChatGPT, Gemini, and everything Copilot for our organization, for workflow, for everything, for research. But why don't we use AI to protect the use of AI, right? So use AI as a tool to protect that. And before, it was a lot of manual work, and AI now can be used for the automatization of different workflow or to protect the organization from attack or different measures. So you need to build the tools in a way that, for example, if you are in financial services, there are different law, different guidelines, different framework. So you just need to make sure that the first thing you know about your asset, right? An inventory of your asset. You know about your third party. Now you don't talk only about third party. This is very serious. We talk about fourth party, fifth party. Why? The third party have someone work with him who is his third party too. So which is a different bunch of connectivity from one third party to another. So it's this is a header here. This is where I said use AI to protect AI.
Thank you. And another question from Mr. Besnet, saying very interesting literature review and much more awareness is needed to build resilience. There are many GRC tools available. What is the significance to develop yet another tool?
So for me, the significant will be based. This is why I focus on financial services. So the GRC tools are good. We can use it, but from a financial services perspective, we don't have a specific GRC tool for financial services. I've said before in my response to Rainer is I'm trying to build a tools where the different framework, different guidelines and regulations too can be applied and can be used from a single framework, which I haven't found now. Maybe we have it on the market, but for 20 years I'm in this field and worked as a consultant for different banks. So what I have found is we have different big name here out on the market, so I can name a few: Drata, Vanta, and CISO Assistant. But these tools are the classic GRC tools where you will use it for auditing, and it may be for the inventory of your asset. But what I'm trying to build is a tool where you can use in financial services to protect not only your third party, your data, to protect your client, to protect your users, and to protect also your system. So this is kind of the difference that we have from the GRC tools perspective.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we're going to move to the next presentation. So next student presenting is Sati, and I'm going to share the presentation for her. So give me one moment. Okay, can everybody see Sati's presentation?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Sati, you can take it away, and please tell me when I need to switch the slides.
Sure, thank you very much. Good day, everyone. My name is Sati Maharaj, and I'm located in the Caribbean in the small island of Trinidad and Tobago. I have almost 10 years experience working in tertiary education as a mentor and a lecturer, and I am still in the initial stages of my research. So I just wanted to present my ideas and my scope and what I intend to undertake. So I will try to be as concise as possible. I would also like to acknowledge my supervisor, Dr. Roy, who is in the room. Next slide, please. So the topic I will be exploring will be mentorship as a strategic mechanism advancing succession planning, performance, and continuity in tertiary institutions of Trinidad and Tobago. Now, based on my experience and my observations, I've been realizing that we lack in this area locally. And from my research, I also realized that we don't have much or little to no studies in this particular area in my country specifically. So internationally, I was able to pull resources and research that would have been done, but not specifically in this area for Trinidad and Tobago. So this would have piqued my interest, and also being a mentor and seeing how it assists or helps professionals in the workplace develop. I think applied to an organization or institution, it can assist with performance and continuity and succession planning at large. Next slide, please. All right, so this is just so this is just the rationale behind my undertaking. So leadership transition remains a major challenge within tertiary institutions in Trinidad and Tobago, with limited succession planning structures to contribute to leadership gaps and knowledge loss. So I have seen multiple times that when, someone who's holding a leadership position or head of department moves on, we always struggle to find someone to fill that shoes regardless, even though, we have qualified professionals in the institution, right? So we take more of a bureaucratic approach where most times the institution would go outside as opposed to utilize those internally, because they either find the age is an issue, or they follow recommendations as opposed to structure to an extent, but they are very they are not also open to change, which is one of the issues that we have locally. Mentorship can also support leadership continuity and organizational sustainability by having qualified persons in the pipeline, so that when someone does move on, we can use our internal resources. And there's little, as I mentioned, local research focus on mentorship-driven succession planning in Trinidad and Tobago. Next slide, please. So this is just an overview of my objectives: to examine the current mentorship and succession planning practices within tertiary institutions, to assess the relationship between mentorship, leadership readiness, and organizational performance, and to also identify the gaps affecting succession planning effectiveness. Now, the last point is something based on my literature, like my review of literature, as well as some initial ideas that I'm still currently developing, where I'm trying to develop a framework as well as a tool to assist in what I'm trying to investigate. So hopefully we would have another presentation at some time where I could share more information on that particular framework that I am working on. Next slide, please. All right, so with regards to data collection, I am proposing to take a quantitative approach to administer structured online questionnaires through purposive sampling technique. So this specific research design would be utilized as it, and also it is suitable as it enables systematic collection for quantifiable data from a representative sample, for example, faculty, administrators, and staff across tertiary institutions in Trinidad and Tobago. Through structured questionnaires, I think the surveys will also help capture measurable indicators of mentorship practices, which will also help me in my research, as well as succession planning processes and impacts that I can share to show how it can impact performance and continuity. I also think a quantitative approach is justified, as it's also appropriate in investigating investigating the statistical relationship between mentorship and succession planning. Yes. Also, participants will be selected from tertiary institutions in Trinidad and Tobago. I have identified 3 institutions that I have approached, and I'm in the process of collecting my ethical approvals, and also in my questionnaires, informed consent will be a major part of how I go about collecting my data, which is a requirement for our research practices, ethical research practices. Participation will be voluntary, and everything will be handled with strict confidentiality. Data will be securely stored, as well as solely used for research purposes. And I will also leave my contact email for persons to reach out to me should they have any further questions while I'm in my data collection phase, right? And the standardized instrument will also help ensure consistency in data collection, and a statistical analysis will be used to ensure reliable and valid findings. Next slide, please. So this is just to add to what I was saying previously. So this approach, again, is justified because the research problem requires empirical evidence that can be objectively analyzed and compared across the institutions that I have selected. And yeah, next slide. All right, so this is just to highlight my literature review and what it suggests. So far, the literature review has demonstrated that mentorship, leadership development, knowledge transfer, and succession planning are interconnected strategies that enhance organizational performance, leadership continuity, and institutional stability within higher education. I have also listed some of my main references, and to also highlight that mentorship, according to my research, supports professional growth, leadership readiness, and career advancement, which is why I think it's also very important. And organizations that proactively prepare successors are better positioned to maintain institutional stability and reduce risk associated with leadership turnover, which we are currently seeing across the country. Next slide, please. Right, so just to build on the previous slide, knowledge sharing preserves institutional memory and organizational expertise, and tacit knowledge is often lost when experienced employees leave, which we see with any organization, not just tertiary education, but again, being in the field and seeing that this is an area where we lack is why I'm trying to develop facts or findings around, gather rather, facts and findings around this particular area. Higher education leadership challenges. Tertiary institutions often struggle with identifying and preparing future leaders. Some research also indicate that sometimes we do have the resources or the employees. However, for some reason, institutions or organizations still choose to go external. Next slide, please. So based on what I have shared previously, this is just a visual on my intention or what I am trying or what I propose to investigate rather. This is just to kind of point not just myself in the right direction, but also to help you, the audience, see the correlation between what I am intending to do. So as you can see, I have mentorship succession planning as independent and mediating variable, and to my right, you would see dependent variables. And under control variables, you would see some of the data that I intend to collect and also analyze. As I said, I'm still in my initial phases, so I don't have the data at hand. But when I do, I would be happy to share it moving forward. Next slide, please. So limitations of my research would include limited access to participants across institutions. Trinidad and Tobago is relatively small, and we have several institutions, but they are on a smaller scale as opposed to a larger scale. We do have at least 2 large organizations, but I don't see us being able to access everyone in those organizations. Again, because of policies and procedures and so forth, time and resource constraints. I may have a timeline in which I would like to collect this data, but as we know, sometimes persons you might have to keep following up or asking for reminders and so forth in order to get our surveys filled. Potential response bias from participants is also a concern, as well as findings may not represent all tertiary institutions, but I'm at least hoping that it would help show relationships between what I am trying to investigate. Next slide, please. That brings me to the end of my presentation. Thank you for your undivided attention, and I look forward to working with you all and hearing from you all in the future.
Okay, thank you very much, Sati, for your presentation. Anybody have any questions for Sati? And Mr. Nimol, I think you're still sharing your screen, because every time we stop sharing, your poster is again up. So if you could stop your share, that would be very good. Okay, any questions for Sati? Okay, Dr. Roy is asking, which statistical tool are you planning to use, Sati? He means software.
Hi, most likely I'm looking at the SPSS software. I know I have been reviewing that particular system, but I'm also open to anything else that might help me. So if anybody have any recommendations other than SPSS, I am all ears. Thank you.
I usually do Stata, but that's just me.
So I'll take a note.
Yeah. Okay, anyone else? Any questions?
And just as an aside, I've used Jamovi for my statistical analysis. It's free and you can load a bunch of modules in it, and the graphs are pretty decent. Sometimes I have to rework them a little bit, but that's one other thing that you can use, and it can output in this data or SSPS. I've used SSPS a long time ago when you had to manually program everything in. Everything's so much easier now.
Great, thank you. If you could just send me the name in the chat, I'll appreciate that, please. Thank you. So I can get the correct spelling.
Okay, anybody else? Any questions? Yes, Dr. Roy's data is my favorite. I don't know how to use any other ones. I've supervised students who use SPSS, but it's still a mystery to me. So Stata is the most straightforward. Okay. Now we have 2 pre-recorded presentations left, which I am going to play from my side. And for that, I'm going to remove my earphones. So I hope you can still hear me. And I'm going to turn up the volume and I'm going to share the screen and I'm going to play first Mr. Paul's presentation. So he has pre-recorded because he had some work commitments, so he was not able to attend. So I'm going to start playing it, and please let me know if you can hear the audio. Just somebody please put it in the chat.
Good mornings, good afternoons, good evening, depend on wherever you are. My name is Paul Duarbach. I'm a PhD student from EIU, pursuing degree of Doctorate of Philosophy in International Relations and Diplomacy. My thesis title is Humanitarian Diplomacy and Conflict Resolutions Advocated by International Organization in South Sudan. That's the title of my PhD. Why I did this research, the rationales. South Sudan has faced a persistent conflict since its independence in 2011, with a civil war starting in 2013, leading to a severe humanitarian crisis and instability. International organizations, including the United Nations and various NGOs, have been involved in humanitarian diplomacy and conflict resolution in South Sudan. Despite this intervention, challenges such as political instability and ethnic tension have hindered lasting peace. This study, therefore, evaluate the roles and the effectiveness of this organization in South Sudan, aiming to propose improvement for the sustainable conflict resolution practices in South Sudan. My research objectives are, number one, to critically analyze the historical roles of international organizations in humanitarian diplomacy and conflict resolution in South Sudan. 2 is to assess the effectiveness of the specified humanitarian diplomacy initiative implemented in South Sudan. 3 is to propose sustainable context-specified conflict resolution practices toward in the South Sudan context. These are some of my objectives. The data collection procedures while doing this research The data collection procedures began with obtaining an official letter from the European International University Department of Social Science and Humanity, which served as a formal authorization to conduct the research. This letter was then submitted for approval to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Ministry of Humanitarian and Disaster Management. Upon receiving the necessary approval, the data collection commenced through the distribution of the questionnaires. I use the questionnaires that I used to collect the data. Facilitation of open groups. There was kind of an open group that I conduct with a different group, and then conduct interview with the relevant participants. These methods were employed to gather qualitative and quantitative data to address the study objective effectively. There's some data collection tools employs. A data collection tool employs, I just use questionnaires, interview, the focus group, for passive stratified convenient sampling method were also used. And then I use data analysis was done through a statistical package for the social science, that is SPSS. This was what I used to analyze the data. Then and then on the results, based on the findings and the objectives on the results, when you talk about objective number 1, to analyze the historical role of international organization in humanitarian diplomacy in South Sudan, the organization that played the roles were including the international organization that is UN, we have local NGOs, we have also influencers, international actors, and then we have also donors. And then also a local impact initiative, the ceasefire agreement, the peace mediations, and all this local ownership, lack of the resources, cultural practice, and humanitarian aids beyond relief. These were some of the objectives. Mainly, in the conclusion of my research, I said this study conclude that international organizations are essential. They are essential in humanitarian diplomacy and conflict resolution in South Sudan. But a shift toward local-driven, context-specified approach is necessary. Successful peace building requires a strong collaboration among local actors, international organizations, and community leaders, with enhanced support in funding, capacity building, and coordination. Despite all the challenges like resources scarcity, political instability, security concern, there is increasing recognition that peace efforts must be inclusive, sustainable, and incorporate both traditionally and modern strategies. This is on the conclusion. During my research also, I encountered some of the issues as limitation of the research, condition beyond the researcher control that would have impact the findings. On this limitation, there are few. Political instability affected access to certain areas and to certain areas and responded. This is one of the conditions. Limited resources, gaps awareness, and then time constraints, sample size, and then geographical limitation. Difficulty in reaching remote areas. Remote areas impacted the diversity of the respondent. These are some of the limitations that I got during my research. And then the recommendation of my research, the recommendations were in my research, empowering local actors, providing training resources and support, enable local actors to take the lead in conflict resolution. It's very important. Prioritize grassroots initiative. We need also to establish joint platform, promote inclusivity, integrate peace building into development plans, leverage technology, adopt strategies, and support community leads initiatives. These are some of my recommendations. Thank you very much for your time. I apologize that I could not make it to be online presently because I'm on the trip. And thank you very much.
Okay, that was Paul's presentation, and yeah, as he said, he could not join online because of a work trip. So if you have any questions for him, you can drop them in the chat, and I will forward to him, and then I'll make sure that we get his response to you. And as the last presentation, but definitely not least, we have Miss Anushka's poster. Let me share it. So she's also not able to join because of some work commitments that she has on the EIU campus in Paris. But she has recorded a very short and brief, but straight to the point, audio about her poster. So I'm going to again play that. So I have it on WhatsApp. So I'm going to play it from my phone, and I hope that everybody's able to hear it.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Anushka, a doctoral researcher at the European International University. My research is about artificial intelligence in higher education. The study shows that AI is used for learning, assessment, research, and admin work. It helps students learn better and saves time. But there are challenges like lack of skill, privacy issues, and ethical concern. I suggest a simple framework: strategy, training, technology, ethics, and evaluation. In conclusion, AI can improve education if used in a safe and smart ways. Thank you, Anushka.
Okay, so that was Anushka's audio, which was supporting her poster, but I think the poster is much more comprehensive, so I will keep it on the screen in case anybody wants to take a closer look. So yes, Dr. Roy, it is a DBA topic, so we've been trying to find the right direction for Anushka's research. So in the beginning, it seemed like it is going towards an EDD topic, but we've found the strategic integration of AI, and we're going the DBA direction. So she's going to look at the strategic part of that in education. But yes, I do agree that it is close to Asafa's topic. I'm going to put my AirPods back in, and then I'm going to make a short conclusion. Okay, I hope you can hear me now through here. So thank you everybody very much for joining today. So it's been a real pleasure seeing every single one of you here. And before we end, I'm going to still release the poll as usual, just collect the feedback, how you found the session. I know it's been long. We've been here for more than 3 hours, so I'm sure that everybody's tired. But really, thank you, everybody. You've made me proud. So those students who've constantly showed up to my classes, seeing you present here today, that was something special. So thank you for doing that. And you know, I can be as good of a lecturer as long as you show up and you also do the work. And I've seen from so many of you that it made me tear up really. So thank you. And yeah, is there any last remarks from anybody? Maybe Dr. Roy, do you want to say something? Or he's going quiet mode today? Okay. Okay, anybody want to say anything? Any last remarks?
I guess thank you for the opportunity to have this mock-up.
Thank you, Sama.
Just want to add with this last message. This is a kind of like a mock conference is a kind of like an experience for us. I mean, I've always like cherished and amazed with the way the EIU helps the students. Third part is I'm so scared with the Professor Krishnan that he's gonna write me a private message.
Okay, anyone else?
No, I'm very excited because I'm hearing for the first time some of my students. Of course, they were not generous enough to show themselves, just like myself, but at least I heard them for the first time because we have been working on WhatsApp, on email, back and forth a lot, but it's finally good to put voices to their names. So that's great.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Roy. Yes, thank you everybody again for joining, and I'm going to let you go. I think to most of you, I've already sent your certificates of appreciation for your presentations. So again, thank you, and I hope that serves as a small motivation to maybe do this again next time. And I hope we get to also practice when more of you actually have, your data and you're more ready for the defenses. So we're hopefully going to do a mock oral defense. I know some of you don't like the word mock, but it is a practice session. So I have to keep it that way. And yeah, thank you again. And I will let you go. And I hope to see you, most of you, in my class tomorrow for the doctoral session.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.